Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Solve Network. My name is Shane Borza, and I'll be your host, along with my co-founder, Benjamin Goss. We'd like to thank you for joining us. If you are new here, or if you're listening to the audio later, we'd like to invite you to join us on a live call, which is held on the first and third Thursday of every month. This is a great way to connect with different experts in various fields and learn from them. And if you're live on the call, you get a chance to ask your questions directly to them and get their answers and feedback tailored to you. Also, if you are an expert and you would like to come on and give a presentation yourself, you can contact me at shaneborza@gmail.com. Tonight, I will be the guest expert, and I'm going to be talking about creating content, specifically online content, social media content, such as a web series, a podcast, or simply social media for like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, things like that, so you can promote yourself, your brand, or your product. If you're watching this presentation, you'll see that I have a slideshow up, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about a course I have called the Content Creator Course, which is a dual meaning. It's both a content course and it's a course for creators. And it doesn't matter if you are an author, a person who writes, which could be books or blogs, or maybe even writing out classes. If you're some kind of video maker, which again could be video class content, could be short films, or like I mentioned earlier, it could be a vlog, a YouTube channel, web series, something like that. Or if you're an audio creator, which could be an audio book, it could be a podcast, it could be interviews, or anything else. They all have the three main parts, which we're going to overview today, which is pre-production, or getting organized and figuring out how to make what you're going to make. Part two is then the actual production, which is the making of the thing. And then part three is post-production, which is how do you edit, finalize, put together, export, and upload or distribute what you made so it's out in the world. We're also going to talk about some next steps. And then at the end, I'll talk a little bit about some options for you to take the course, both live or on demand. So you can see at the bottom here, the whole purpose of this is to streamline making your art and getting it out to the world. And regardless of whether you're making new stuff, such as, oh, I'm an author, but I now want to start a podcast, but I don't know how to do audio, or any other combination, there is a learning curve. And it may be difficult, costly in money, costly in time, costly in effort, costly in frustration, if you're figuring things out on your own. But also, if you have been doing something a certain way or were trained a certain way, you may be stuck in the system you have used and not realize maybe there's an easier, better, faster way to do it. So either way, whether you're new to something or you've been doing things already, I think there's a great opportunity to learn. And whether you learn from me or anyone else, I hope that you are constantly checking your systems, constantly learning, and constantly making connections to see if there's a way that you can improve. So to move forward, I'm going to give you a little introduction about myself, some background on my background, and an overview of the course. This is a picture of me on set in Australia, where I went to film school and stunt academy. That's where I kind of learned the technical aspects of filmmaking. And I'm not generally a cinematographer or a camera operator, but I was on this production. And although I'm predominantly a writer-director, learning all aspects of filmmaking was really valuable, not only because it helped me have a better sense of communication to people in various departments, but it also gave me a more holistic sense of how to make things, again, faster, easier, but also better. So like I mentioned a moment ago, you might be a filmmaker, you might be a podcaster, you might be an author. But part of writing is rewriting, which means editing. So learning editing is a helpful addition to learning writing. Learning copywriting or copy editing might be helpful in helping you release and promote your book. So there's a lot of peripheral aspects to whatever the creation is that you might be primarily interested in that are outside of the actual role. As I mentioned, I'm predominantly a writer-director, but I also edit all of my own things. And learning how to edit, which some people call the final rewrite, because you can like change the story, was another skill I needed to develop. And it took time, but I needed to learn it, both from taking classes and reading books, but also engaging with people who knew how to do it better than I did. So again, if there's any kind of larger message here, if you are a creator and you're making any kind of content, ensure that you are learning and growing your skill set. So a little background on me. This is a picture of my lovely wife, Joyce, and I winning Best Documentary at the 2019 AOF Film Festival in Las Vegas. And we actually won Best Documentary for the same film at 2 different festivals. If you can see on the picture there, there's a lot of logos. They call it the Mega Fest because there's an umbrella called AOF. And under it, there's like 10 or 15 different festivals that all happen concurrently. And so I was lucky enough to get that award at 2 different festivals on the same night, which was really fun. But I was able to do that because I have over 20 years in the industry. And I have worked on big budget, kind of like Hollywood type things, but I found that I started in indie film and I returned to indie film because I really liked working with small groups of people rather than big groups of people. I worked on big YouTube, when YouTube launched YouTube Red, they did a big show and I was on the set for 2 weeks and there was like 500 crew. And I left at the end of 2 weeks and there were people there I had never met or spoken to. And I said, I don't really want to work in a big environment like this. So I guess it'd be kind of a way of saying I would rather work in the startup world than the corporate world, if that's a kind of a good parallel. That being said, I did work in the corporate world for 10 years. I was in post-production at Deluxe Technicolor, which is basically like if Coke and Pepsi became Coke Pepsi. They were the 2 largest post-production companies in the world, and then they merged. And so that was really helpful, actually, because although I was working in the film industry, I was basically had a desk job. But I learned a lot about what happens once you finish working on set and the movie goes into post-production, which I had never done before. I had just gone from working on set to working on a different set. And so learning that whole last part, that post-production, the editing, the finalizing, the distribution, it was really helpful. So again, if you have an idea for a book, a podcast, a movie, or what have you, it's really important to know all aspects. How do you get organized? How do you make it? How do you complete it? I have a number of other credentials, but I'm not going to bother to go into those because really what I want to do is focus on talking about the course. So let me move on and say what the Content Creator course is. As I mentioned earlier, there's a couple different versions of this class. It all has the same content, but I have a live version, which is 4 weeks, one class a week, and an on-demand version, which also has kind of 4 main lessons. And the live version will be held next in August. So you have 1 class every week. The first week is all social media and branding, which is your kind of pre-production stuff. It's setting up the who you are, the what you do, promoting the idea of the thing that you're going to make. Just like any other company or any other product, the only reason you know a movie is coming out is because you watched the trailer, or the band is promoting the album because they released a single and that lets you know an album is coming, or a company has a billboard and you know because it's in the billboard that that thing is available somewhere and you can go find it and you can buy it. So starting off learning how to have a consistent message across different platforms, branding yourself or your product, making sure that you are associated with your product, all of that stuff is part of that kind of pre-production of getting everything organized. And then class 2, which is week 2, you move into, as I mentioned, the production part, which is how do you create the content? How do you make it? How do you ensure you have everything you need to make it, both in terms of people and resources, programs, money, whatever it might be. Class 3 is the post-production stuff. So it's the distribution and follow-up. So it's the editing it, finalizing it. Pretty much everything now is done digitally. So it's exporting some kind of file and uploading it somewhere, and then enabling that to be distributed to different platforms or different people, as well as following up though with both yourself, like, how did this come out? Am I happy with it? Is it the way I want it? Getting some people to give you feedback, asking them to read your book, asking them to watch your video, asking them to listen to your podcast, and then following up with them to get some feedback or some suggestions on how to make it better. But then also doing that with your audience, encouraging them to write a review or to share it or to promote it. All of those are really important aspects of getting something out. And then the fourth class, the fourth week, is various resources and ideas for growth. Because every author, every band, every filmmaker, they don't just make something once. They make either a series or they move in different directions. But either way, they continue to write, they continue to make movies, they continue to record. And that means they're growing in their skill set. So they're constantly learning. They're growing in their outreach, and they're growing and building a larger audience and following. So also talking about that. So this is one of my main things is it's my passion to help people get their art out into the world. And I feel really called to help other people do that because I had people help me do that. And I have had 20 years in the industry, and I have had various things come out. I have won various awards, and I've done all that because of the team I had, because of the people who took the time and the effort to teach me how to do things. And as a coach and as a teacher, I really love to see people come in and be like, I have no idea what to do. And then they leave and like, oh, now I know what to do. And so whether, again, you work with me or not, I really hope that you connect with people, whether it's diet or exercise, spiritual growth, whatever it may be, that are really excited about the thing that they're doing. And they are really excited to help you do it too. But I think it's also important for you to ensure you have that excitement or passion in yourself. And sometimes we're good at things that we're not passionate about. And we just need to be like, okay, I'm doing this, and that's my job, and I make money, and I handle my life. And that's great. And sometimes we have a passion, and it's not something we have any talent in. And that is also fine, because you can develop the talent, but you can't necessarily develop the passion. So be honest with yourself and see if you have a passion, like I've always wanted to write a book. Can you get past that and move from I've always wanted to write a book to I'm now going to start this year to write the book I've been wanting to write for 10 years? Because one of the things that I think is most sad is if people do have a passion for something, or there's something they've always wanted to do. They've always wanted to start a band. They've always wanted to make a show. They've always wanted to do whatever it is, and they never do. So again, it doesn't matter if it's me or anyone else, but see if you can identify the thing is you really, really want to do, what it is that's standing in your way, and see if you can find somebody to help you get past that so you can do the thing. Because not only can you not show off the thing that you haven't made, but nobody can read the book you didn't write. Nobody can watch the movie if you don't make it. Nobody can hear your album if you don't put it out there. So I really hope that whoever's listening to this feels inspired to connect with their passion and figure out a way to start making it.